Coach, what are some biggest takeaways from game one?
Well, we won. That's good, right? I thought we played pretty well. A lot to be desired. We're going to have to play much better this week to win, but was pleased with it being a week one performance. I thought our guys played with a lot of energy and, took care of the ball. But we got to make a big jump this week to be able to go win this game.
Barry, Pat Bryant mentioned after the game that Luke kind of just trusted them and threw it up for them a little bit when they got one-on-one coverage in those matchups. What's that a sign for him or just your offense in general?
Well, I mean, obviously these guys work a lot around the year without us around, and they developed the chemistry through, one-on-ones, throwing in the summertime and the indoor, and I think that's just a product of, going into year two of being around the guys that he's around, and obviously him and Pat have been together for now a little bit more of an extended period of time. So, and Malik as well. I'm starting every day that he throws more with Zakari and, Hank Beatty, and you just develop more chemistry. So at the end of the day, one-on-one's the best you're going to get, and you're not going to get one-on-none very often in the game. And so you get one-on-one, you got to be able to take advantage of it. You got to give a guy a chance to make a play, and then we got to make plays. And we did that, fortunately last week, and that'll be something that'll be critical for us moving forward.
There's all a couple different combinations of two-back sets, whether it's Caden Aiden or Caden Jordan. What do you like about what that adds to your offense, and how comfortable are you guys offensively in kind of that look?
Well, I mean, we're just trying to use our roster the best way that we know how, right? That's always a job of a coach, no matter what side of the ball, obviously. But for me, being in charge of the offense is to look and evaluate, under the direction of Coach B, of what what we feel like is the strengths of our team, and to be able to use those. We feel like we got good depth at running back. We're a little thinner at tight end, and so it just kind of makes sense to use that and some opportunities. And I thought it looked pretty well. It's something that obviously, whatever those groupings are, we're going to continue to, be able to try to be multiple in that regard. And but I thought off, the first game, I thought it looked pretty well.
How does Caden stack up as a lead blocker?
I'm saying.
How does Caden stack up as a lead blocker with Aiden behind him?
Well, I mean, I think pretty good. I mean, he's just a good football player, right? I mean, Caden is just, he's a big, strong guy that can run and jump and cut. And I mean, you saw him covering a kick, so I would think that, the rep that he got it on directly, he did a great job of swallowing up the edge. And so, those guys are unselfish, I mean, that's what our team is just whether they have the ball or not, it's playing without the ball. That's the true tell of a guy. Receiver, tight end, across the board, is how and I thought our guys played with a lot of energy across the board when they didn't have the ball, and that's a good sign.
What did you see from Kansas on tape against Lindenwood, or not see as the case may be, and what are you expecting that carries over from last year?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you saw them, take care of a Lindenwood team and play really good defense and played the same structure and front that they've been, obviously the return coordinator's been with them for a long time. And with the head coach too, they go way back. So systematically, you kind of know what to expect in that regard. And they're really, really good at what they do inside their scheme. And to saw more of that starting the 2024 year off, a pickup where they left off last year. And so got a tons of respect for the way that they play football on the defensive side of the side. They play great fundamentals and they play very fast and they know their scheme very well.
How much does last year's game inform what you want to do this year?
Well, anytime you play somebody that's the same coordinator, and with some of the same players, there's a good baseline start of, what to expect. But you would expect both sides of the ball to mix things up to some degree from what it was last year. But last year we got, just honestly, we just got, out-coached and outplayed and they play really hard, and we're gonna have to match that intensity and play much better this year.
You had mentioned it about potentially being thin at tight end after Cole's injury, but it seems like you really like the top two guys in Tanner and Henry, and really can ride those guys as much as you can.
Yeah, I think they're good players. I think obviously Tanner is really playing well, and Henry continues to, he's not as quite as experienced as Tanner. And has been, was a little bit limited in the spring, and so, I think he's continued to hit his stride, and obviously, like kind of our team, we want him to play much better, a lot better in week 2 than he did in week 1. That goes across every position, but I do feel like those guys can, service what we're trying to get done in the 2 tight end look, And it's something that's important for us to be able to be functional in.
Colin Dixon's the guy we saw early. We've heard his name obviously throughout camp. What has he done to kind of move up that depth chart and put himself in that position?
Yeah, he had a phenomenal spring. I mean, people may have seen the spring game, but the people that didn't get the glimpse of that, I mean, through literally his first scrimmage was the only day last spring that wasn't really good, and it was really his first scrimmage action, and he didn't play extremely well that day. And then from that point forward, he just had a great spring. Picked that up where we left off in the fall. He's very intelligent. He provides a lot of flexibility because he can play any position on our offense, and as far as in the receiver room, you know, and just has been super consistent. And he really plays the game at a high level as far as just the details and reliability, consistency, and he's got good ability too. So he's been a really nice surprise, not surprise for us, but he's one of the young guys that have emerged that has earned our trust.
Barry went under center like about a handful of times. Just what does that look give you? Because it's something obviously you didn't do a lot last year.
Well, I mean, obviously, just you know, it's the easiest way to get the ball directly from the quarterback to the running back, right? There's good play action opportunities there as well. Gets the back zeroed, neutraled out to where you can go right or left, and so there's some good things about it overall, and we've gotten much more comfortable at doing that through the course of last year. That wasn't something that we probably just were super comfortable with last year. It was late for Luke. John was a little bit more comfortable because of his background and training, and so we worked hard in the off season to get more comfortable because it's something we believe in and something that we think that's going to be a part of our offense.
Coach, what did you see from offensive line play? It seemed like a lot of the success in the running game came on the stretch plays, outside zone. Do you want to get more from the inside gap plays?
Yeah, we got to be better in our inside, our running game, and that's something we're a zone running team. Everybody knows that plays us or watches us, and so. But we did, the good news is you got to have enough complementary plays if somebody's taking one thing away that you can counter with, a complementary scheme that put your players in the best chance, the best opportunity to succeed. And so I thought it was a good, solid performance. It protected pretty well. There was a lot of good things up front, but there was obviously room for improvement, just like there was at quarterback, receiver, tight end, and running back. And that's going to need to make a big jump this week for us to go win this game.
Melvin had a fair number of kind of wow plays. What did he bring maybe in that?
Well, since Melvin's been here, he's brought an infectious personality to our room of toughness and personality, and he loves the game. And I think all of our, we got a whole room and a locker room full of guys that love the game. You can't play at this level and put the time and commitment in and not really love it, because it is a grind, and it's a strong commitment. And so I think we got a whole team that loves the game of football, but he kind of outwardly expresses that a little bit more than some, and he's a vibrant personality that just soaking up every opportunity moment that he gets to play. He's made us better because of that personality, and we got to get him cleaned up too. He's got to tidy some things up, but the physicality, the intent, the way he plays the game is really infectious, and he had a really good start to the first week.
The receiver depth has been kind of a theme we've talked about for the last few times we've talked to you, but how do you functionally make that work in a game when you have 7, 8 guys that you're comfortable with and just kind of sorting through that?
Well, obviously it was really warm the other night, so that was a contributing factor to some of the rotation. There was guys that needed breaks quickly because the heat index was really high, and so but we knew going into the game it was going to be warm, and we had planned and practiced for that and worked on guys in rotations, and everybody that played in the game had earned the right to play in the game. And a receiver, and that's you earn that through practice, you earn that through repetition, you earn that through over the course of time. That's not just something that was a 1 week or a 1 day. That was through a collection of practices, of camps and springs and summers of guys that were out there, and we've got a lot of confidence in a lot of guys in our room, and I think that showed the other night in the way they played, and we're going to need the whole village for us to be successful this season.
With Luke, that's comfortable confidence. That's just something again we've talked about. Is there any mannerism with him in a game that you see that maybe you didn't see in the first 2 or 3 starts last year that kind of exudes, or you maybe know he's got that?
Well, I think I've seen it in practice more in response to challenging moments or whatever. There are always going to be challenging moments, and especially when you're playing that position. You're you're not going to like every single thing, every single throw, every single decision. So I think response to failure has been positive, and saw that even in the course of the game. There's a few things that we would have liked back at that position, and he didn't really let it phase him very much. He came in and threw the ball very accurately, and so I think he's in a good spot. But obviously, the challenge ahead of us this week is significant, and it will be able to ratchet up in speed and athleticism this week, in a marquee matchup and a big Saturday night game at home, and he's got to play with poise and know that the windows are going to be tighter, and so there's a good challenge ahead of him for this week to respond to that. But I like the way he started week 1, obviously.
What did it mean to get Donovan some reps in the game, even late in the game? What would that mean for him?
Reps are reps, reps are reps, and those matter with game reps. There's no substitute for those. There's just no substitute for getting a guy out there on that field to now they know, okay, this is what it feels like. Like it's not a whole lot different in practice, but there's more people in the stands. The play clock's the same. There's only 11 guys out there, so it was good for him to get his feet wet and to get that out of the way. And it's obviously he's got to be game ready and continues to work during the week to be game ready, and that opportunity arises. And I feel good about where he's at right now.
Aiden, you guys were excited about to get him out there. Obviously, got the start, but I hate to bring up the name, but is there some similarities to what he can do on those outside zone stretches or chase what you did, and maybe what you didn't have last year with him fully healthy?
Yeah, I think that's fair. As far as the skill set goes, I think it's somewhat comparable. We're still, figuring that out as we go. We think obviously through practice and what they've shown in games to this point, we've got a good feel for that, but we want to constantly improving their across-the-board skill set, and that's a work in progress always. Thad does a great job with those guys, and so, yeah, Aiden obviously getting the ball on the perimeter and stretching the defense a little bit, obviously with his speed. Him and Khalil are two of the more dynamic guys we got in the room there, and obviously within their own right, Josh and Caden are very dynamic for big guys, but it's a different skill set. We all know that, and we just got to continue to play to those strengths and accentuate those strengths for them to be successful.
How'd the helmet communication go?
Well, it went pretty well. I thought it was good, and just had a couple small hiccups. It's like I'm Inspector Gadget, on the sideline, and I sit down, buttons are beeping, and in between series was a lot more difficult than in between the game. I'm trying to sit down and watch the iPad, and I'm beeping and buzzing and vibrating all over the place. So I didn't know what was going on. That was a little bit weird for me, so I had to start standing up because every time I sit down I was switching channels. So there's some things to work through in that regard, but as far as Luke and I and the communication with the quarterbacks, I thought it went really well. There's just a time, this 15 seconds sneaks up on you really fast, I'll say that. You would think that just thinking about it, like the play clock starts at 40, you got 25 seconds to get it all in, before it shuts off, and you would think that you could, have some time to sort it out a little bit, but it happens really quickly, and you're at 18 or 19 before you know it, and then you got to get that last bit of communication in. But we're set up and we're sustainable without the headset communication. Obviously, it's an enhancement for what we're trying to do, but if we get caught in that moment, we have the ability to get the play in no problem, through traditional ways in college football. But it was a good thing. It was a good experience, and it's something we're going to continue to obviously use to hopefully to our advantage. And I think the quarterbacks liked it, and it was a good first game in that regard.
Barry, have you found the tablets to be really helpful for what you're trying to accomplish, or do you try to, or is it new for you too? Well,
it's obviously new for me, and they're certainly not harmful. That's clear after going through week 1. It's kind of interesting. It's one of the things that, on the day after the game, it's like, when you watch the film with them, they're like, yeah, coach, I've already watched that. Yeah, so, I saw that one. Yeah, yesterday. So that's an interesting dynamic the day after the game. Obviously you have time to slow it down and coach with a lot more detail than you do during the game. But there was interesting moments. You get right to the heart of the issue. Because sometimes what you see and what really happens are two different things, especially from a field vantage point. You don't see things as well, and so you in your mind in the past you always thought, okay, well, this happened, or I can't run that anymore, or that was a bad call. And sometimes you look back at it and say, well, maybe it wasn't that bad of a call, we got to tweak what we're doing, you know, and sometimes it is a bad call, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not saying the video always exonerates you from,
Right.
you know, any miscue or whatever, but it certainly is it allows you to make those quicker adjustments. I thought it was an interesting, I thought our guys handled it pretty well.
Last one, Coach Lunney, you did.
I think it was on the touchdown pass to Malik. Luke said his headset maybe didn't work, or there was some sort. I think that was a play. There was a touchdown pass where his headset went out. I'm just curious from your vantage point, was it just get the play in a different way? Did he, I don't want to say ad lib, but
Is he trying to claim call? Is he-
No, no, I didn't say that. But like, I'm just curious, maybe what do you remember happened on that? Was it just?
Yeah, I think that was among, we had a couple little small glitches that were just minor, that there was a couple of times where I lost communication outside of the 15 seconds. And, you know, as soon as, we have a system for that, you know, as soon as he knows, like, I can't, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't hear him, you know, or he didn't hear me, then it's like, okay, get your eyes over here and let's communicate this in a traditional no huddle way, and that's what we did.
All right.